Hey guys, what's up? Say a little prayer real quick. Give it a minute. Welcome, thank you for joining. Thank you for sharing. So, today we have a very, very fascinating presentation. And I've been working really diligently for the past, I'd say, week and a half, but in the last 3 days especially, putting this together, because I felt it was necessary to bring this information out. So today we'll be going over a bunch of images, and I'll be explaining what we are, how this universal time matrix works, what it looks like, the different densities and harmonic universes and beings and agendas and programs connected, and yeah, this is going to be a really fun one. I'm excited. I hope you are too. But before we start, let's take a moment. Close your eyes. Let's take a nice deep inhale into your solar plexus. Holding space there and releasing any and all energies that no longer service you. And let us allow for the highest benevolent lights of the law of one, of love, to be within our space. Of GSF, I am God, I am sovereign, I am free. Pulling in the threefold flame of the emeralds, gold, and violet rays into our bodies and our temple spaces, and inviting the 12-dimensional shield within our reality so that we may be protected, and in a space of receptivity as I transmit these informations to you. At this time, know that what you are going to hear might not make complete sense to you. Know that your soul will receive what it needs to receive in this now moment. And yeah, I'm just gratitude, infinite gratitude to be in this space now, to show up as I am, and to be a reflection for you all. So let's get it. Alright. Hopefully these images work. So, before I actually start this, I want to say I have prepared I've prepared a set of URLs for research to dive deeper into these aspects and forms of gnosis, and it took me a very long time to do this. I spent hours upon hours staying up really late doing this, so I really hope you appreciate it. I'm going to provide it for free on my website, so if you go to awakenconsciouscollective.com after I finish these live streams, I don't know how long this is going to take, hopefully it's just going to be 1 or 2, but after I finish, you can go to the website. The link is in the bio, and I will publish it, and it will be there for you to dive deeper into. And these are the best resources and the best websites that hold this type of information. And I don't really hear anyone talking about this information, and it's very rare. Because, I mean, with discernment, with this information, you need to take really everything that you learn with a grain of salt. And I'll be going over that today too. So, to the links on the website that I'm going to be leaving is the QMAP project, and this will explain the different types of programs and operations that are happening on planet as well as off the things that we'll be going into today is off server, like completely levels beyond harmonic universes, which explain why things are the way they are on our planet at this time. Again, very excited. Okay, so the first image is this Q map of the Great Awakening and the Solar Flash. Highly suggest you check out this image. And I believe on the website where the URL link leads to, you can download this for free. The second image is the Q map key, okay? And what we'll be focusing as a majority on today is the green section based on ET. So for those who've seen this and know, great, awesome. What we're going to dive into is going to be really exciting and fun. And for those who haven't, this is very exciting because you have some stuff to look into and some things to study. Alright. Let's move into the presentation. So this presentation is completely free. A lot of the information, I'm going to state this beforehand, comes from sources on Google. Honestly, it's just online, as well as the material that I'll be talking about today is based off of ASHAYANA DEANE's work, as well as RENEE's work, as well as multiple different systems of gnosis I've studied for the past 12 years of my life, and multiple other lifetimes that I've remembered. So let's get into it. The first slide shows you that harmonics, okay, is based on frequency. Everything in the universe is based on frequency, whether that be chemical, which is proven through Dr. Walter Russell's work. All chemical formations are based on frequency, as well as all spectrums of harmonics of perceivable light is based on frequency. All octaves of universes are based on frequencies as well. Our chakra system, our auric field, our emotional and subtle causal bodies are based on different keytones of frequencies that are separated through octaves, and these octaves are what allow us to to tune and tap into alternate densities and dimensions in harmonic universes. So now let's move on to the next image. So when you're born, you are superseded as a zip file of your soul. Your soul is a star. It is a sun. And when you incarnate into a physical vessel, what happens is you are zip filed, and all of your past memories are held within your genetic coding, within your heart space. And this core 0 point of the identity self is able to recall all of its memories. And these go in stages of development throughout childhood to teen to adulthood. As you develop, so too do your chakras, and they develop in states of 3. So, as you're a child, you're developing your root, your sacral, your solar plexus chakra. And then you awaken to your heart, your throat, your third eye, and then your crown. And then beyond that, you can move into the higher chakras. And there are 15 available chakras, or you can use the 12-base system as well. And these are octaves of frequency. Again, like on a piano keyboard, there are 12 notes, right? And there are 5 and 6 major and minor keys on the keyboard, right? 6 and 5. And the 13th note is the next octave over. So, with that stated, let's move on to the next image. So this next image shows a seed crystal seal, which is what happens when two counter-rotating fields, or Merkabas, intersect and create a gateway, if you will. All things in reality work off of this gateway. Our chakras have a front end and a back end, and this is how we bridge perception within our reality. And I will explain this within the upcoming slides. Very exciting. So this is how holograms are perpetuated, right? Let's move to the next image and I will show you more. So the lotus anatomy, the chakra system buds off of itself as self-reflected light. So that spawns from this thing called akasha, which is ekasha, which is working off a base of the Trinity, which is sound, light, and void, or geometry, or geomancy. And these three states of consciousness create the Holy Trinity. Also, the tetrax, which is the base formation of all Platonic solids and shapes within this reality. You can also see it as the tetrahedron. Moving on to the next image. So this is the integrated system of the stargate systems within your body. These stargates are microcosmic seals of macrocosmic expressions of self that exist within ley line points upon the earth. And I'll go deeper into this as we move on with the presentation. But on the planet, there are these stargates on ley lines, which are acupuncture points of the planet. The planet can be seen as the chakra of a macrocosmic being that we're existing simultaneously inside of. Each planetary star exists as a macrocosmic expression and emanation of self, which is why our chakras are in divine alignment with the planets of our internal biology, our chakra system. And there's a close association with the word plants and planets because they operate on the same frequency. This is how magic works. So, I know this image isn't very clear, but within each chakra system, there are major organs and glands associated with it. And there are specific seals that are on the planet that are blocking the transceivers of our glands and organs that keep us asleep and unable to awaken to our true, authentic selves. I'm going to go through these pretty quickly, which is fine. It's just good that you get the symbolism. So within this chakra system, again, base 15 you see here, expanding outward, we see that the internal chakra system, based on the organs and glands, have a self-reflective frequency field that create the auric field, and within that manifests within the mental field and the astral spiritual. This is within the first to third densities, moving to the fourth, fifth, and sixth in the astral planes and angelic planes. And there are so many more planes in that, and we're going to go over that today. So, this structure is also known as the Hova body, and they are emanations of layers of consciousness. And these layers of consciousness have a direct feedback loop on the Stargate system on the Earth, because our heart is tuned to 432 Hertz, which allows us to tap into the reality and the hologram of the simulation as a radio station that we're experiencing. I'm going to be using a lot of computer lingo because there are a lot of millennials that understand it in this way. We live in a holographic matrix simulation, okay? These are key codes, some of them, all right? And these key codes express reality through genetics. and we're going to be talking about that a lot today. So these are the different models of expressions of the 7 layers, as you can see, but there's 15. There's so many more layers. If you want to know where this image comes from, it comes from the book Hands of Light, which is a great book for healing modalities, working with angelics and Reiki practices. Alright, so let's continue to lift the veil here. These harmonic universes are set in base sets of 3. So there's 5 densities within the universal time matrix, which means that, like, if you see it as like a PS4 or like a video game console system, we are in a matrix, and there are matrices within matrices, okay? And beyond that, beyond the 15th dimensional gate, we then enter the 16th, and the 13th, 15th, and above are actually known as the God worlds, which are pure planes of energy and consciousness that manifest as like, basically, like, you know how we have a shadow? These states of archetypes shadow themselves through multiple different layers of reality, and we are in form of that expression. So this next image is called a J seal, which is also known as a Jehovian seal connected to Yahweh and Enlil. These J seals are a product of an astral implant that is created because our ley lines have been overtaken by what are they called? Dragon moths. Draco, reptilian, from the constellation of Orion. Clear that energy immediately. And these beings I'll be mentioning very carefully with keywords. So notice when I say Drax. The reason why the world is the way it is because of these beings. They came here a very long time ago. They've been here since before we were. And there's a lot of distorted information within our history because history is written by the victors. And if you tune into my other live streams, I talk about Anki and Enlil often. And it's because there's this war between these 2 archetypal consciousnesses that exist in higher harmonic universes that are actually future timelines of our reality that affect us. Yes, time travel is real. And I'll talk about that more when it comes up. But the way we remove these J seals is we step into our full sovereignty and authenticity with I am God, I am sovereign, I am free, as well as using the threefold flame, which is the 13th to 15th dimensional octaves of these founder races that created humanity and a lot of species within the universe. So another technique that you can use is Ka, Ra, Ya, Sa, Ta, Ha, La, which is crystal. And this is connected to Christos consciousness, or Christ consciousness. This, my brothers and sisters, is the return of the Christ. The gnosis that we are and have always been, consciousness and states of soul. So, if you're working with 12th dimensional light, you need to operate with the 12D shielding technique. Because if you bring your astral body into the astral plane and you don't know how to protect yourself, you're not working with certain ancestors or past avatar selves or future avatar selves or angelics, certain angelics that serve the benevolent law of one, then you leave yourself susceptible to being prone to infiltration. Okay? And this is 12-dimensional shield technique. This platform, I'll explain more. It's based off of the 12 Kythera system, which is a grid. This knowledge comes from off-universe. It comes from 4 servers above us. So this information is absolutely almost impossible to find. And my role at this time is I speak to this generation. And this information isn't new. I'm just presenting it to you in a digestible format. And know that I'm still studying this stuff myself too, and receiving channels. And I've gotten a lot of contact within the past month, which led me to this, to bring this to the world. So this platform is at the bottom, and you use it as almost a magic circle, if you will. And these geometries go base layer into every single harmonic universe, as above, so below, within and without of us. And this protects us in the 12th dimensional plane when we're operating with these frequencies and higher harmonics and states of consciousness and beings, if you will. I'm going to state this right now, but I'm going to state it again. Densities and dimensions and timelines are the same exact thing. When we're communicating with angelics, we're communicating with future aspects of self. When we're communicating with specific extraterrestrial races, we're communicating with future aspects of self. Earth exists in multiple different timeline densities based on dimensions, okay? And these dimensions of reality give me one moment. These timeline servers in operation with connecting to these beings, we're communicating with aspects of ourself, because all is self and all is one. Alright? The illusion of separation has been created as a media trigger manifested by specific factions that are against us, keeping us asleep, not wanting us to activate our genetics, which is why things like vaccination exists, which is connected with specific families, and why Gates, Bill, is the face of that. Alright, let's move on to the next image. So, this is another shielding, okay? Once you understand the base geometries, they extend outward into higher harmonic intervals. And ever more so. Alright, now that we've explained that, I'm going to go into creational aspects of how things are manifested, okay? So, sound, light, void, geometry, right? So, sound waves. If you study sacred geometry, a sound wave is an emanation of a sphere, right? And 2 emanations that intersect create a vesica Pisces. And this manifests an eye, which creates light. This is how light is formed. That in itself needs the 3rd sphere to create the Holy Trinity aspect. Alright? When we're operating, and I'm not saying all of Drinvalo stuff is wrong, or anything that anyone teaches is wrong. You just need to take everything with a grain of salt and know what it is they're putting down. So, the Vesica Pisces is actually a closed loop system. It feeds off of itself and dies. There's no open loop that leads back to source. This is very, very vital. Understanding that whatever system you're operating on and working with, it needs to be an open loop system. So there is this thing known as a partiki, and a particum, and a partica, based on matter, antimatter, and antimatter. So, with that said, same thing with harmonic universes and parallel earth planes. There are parallel earth fallen timelines that are anti-universe aspects. And I know this might be a lot right now, absolutely fine. You can rewatch this. And so there is a light universe and there is a dark universe. And there's neutral as a proton, electron, and neutron. So this system is based off BiVeca, which is closed loop, and tri-wave unity, or TriVeca, which is open loop system. This is known as the Holy Trinity, the three eyes that we have. Alright, again, this is Ikasha, which I explained as light, sound, and void. Curiously enough, when you burst a bubble underwater with sound waves, it creates light. Why do you think that is? Also, in Egypt, the hieroglyph for water means mind. Everything in the universe is mind. We are in a density right now. There's an atmosphere, there's a layer. We're in some type of density. It's fluid. When you smoke, and the smoke or the vapors are exhaled, they don't flow like that. All they're doing is attaching themselves to what's already there. We live in a fractalized harmonic universe. And these are the high Veka systems. And each one is placed on a specific organ and gland inside the body and operates as such as well. These are the 12 aspects of them. These are really hard to find, by the way. Like, if you try to look for this information online, people have actually gone and deleted them. They don't want you to know this stuff. Alright, so, in this image, it shows the tetrax and the building blocks of tetrahedrons, okay? Trinity aspects. And this creates a base 15 vibrational dimensional system, which creates what is known as the Kythera grid, right? Tree of Life, Kabbalistic Tree of Life aspects. They are missing Sephiroth, which are spheres of emanations. Da'ath is never talked about, okay? And Ein Sof, and Ein Sof are rarely talked about as well. These are the completed information in esoterics that creates the 12 base system. So, speaking about discernment, this is really important. So there's the Fibonacci sequence, and then there's the crystal, crystal spiral sequence. And they work in different mathematical expansion. As you can see here, they're off, okay? Which means that golden ratio, according to this person, brings us into a fallen matrix, phantom universe. And I'll explain this later on. I'm just explaining the creational aspects first, and then we're going to get into the true history. Alright? So this is how Fibonacci works. It eats its predecessor and continues, and it doesn't connect back to 0 points, which would mean it's a BiVeca system. It's Vesca Pisces. It's binary closed loop. This is the crystal spiral number sequence, which incorporates 0 points. Now, here's where I say the discernment is important. This information is false, okay? The system is based on harmonics. So, what you see at the top left, Walter Russell studied this information a long time ago in Expansion of Flight, fractalization, okay? And the golden ratio actually fits in divine alignment with the Kythera grid. The thing is, when you're working with spiral sequences, it needs to have an in and an out. It needs to have an as above, so below aspect. If you're just spiraling one way, the system dies. It needs to perpetuate itself infinitely. And it does that by having a reconnected open loop system with source. And you can look at these images later on. Yes, Yanyun. Alright. So in this image, we're talking about the levels of identity. Let me pull this up for myself so I can... So, at Harmonic Universe 1, which is based on density 1 to 3, which is where we are in the third dimension, right? We are in the personality matrix, which is the incarnate. And the second harmonic universe is based on the soul matrix. The third harmonic universe is based on the oversoul matrix. The fourth harmonic universe is based on the avatar matrix. And the fifth harmonic universe is based on the solar matrix. And you need to understand that all of these harmonic universes or octaves of consciousness are all expressions of, it's called stations of identity. They are all aspects of self. These are aspects of self that were cut off from us and fallen, okay? And I'll explain this more. It's called a fallen Metatronic Death Star sequence that was created. This is where AI comes in. And it happened at the 11th dimension that dropped our universe, which is why we have a black hole in the middle of our universe. And this is what I know right now. And I'm sharing it with you. And it's fine if you don't believe it. Take it with a grain of salt. So when we're talking about the astral world, we're talking about 4D, dimension 4. And beyond that, there's so many other worlds. There's the archetypal and angelic and Kytheric and monadic. And beyond that, there's just multiple other systems of energy expressing itself. This is how light and source and soul came into physical being as us, to express itself, to forget everything and have amnesia, to be able to return back to itself. It is a game. We are in a game that we created for ourselves. And it's all based on genetics. Genetics is how we return back to self. This is really important. I'll explain it as we get into the history portion. Alright, moving on to the next image here. As you can see, it's based on sets of 12. Alright? So every single density of 3 has pairs of 12. 12 hours in the day, 12 hours in the night, 12 cranial nerves within the brain, 12 disciples of Yeshua, which is the pineal gland. There's 12 aspects in so many things within the universe. 12 constellations, 12 fire letters. So these 12s, it's a circuit. It's a quantum computer aspect, okay? And so there are 12 zodiac signs. We as souls incarnate into every zodiac sign and must graduate every zodiac sign successfully before we move on to the next harmonic. There are 12 aspects within our soul circle in the afterlife, okay, that are direct reflections of us. This is where the whole twin flame phenomenon comes in. And this is where the aspect of volunteers comes in as well. All right? Because in order for a specific server to have a collective consensus on mind, because that's what the server is, it's based on imagination, mind, okay? These 12 aspects of your soul need to graduate and unify and become one, to become a macrocosmic being, and continue this on. The thing is, if there are aspects of yourself that are trapped in lower dimensional universes or octaves, we need to come back for them, or we cannot ascend. Alright? This is why a lot of incarnates came back here. So, let's say I'm a being that exists in harmonic universe 12, and fractalized aspects of myself have fallen in dimension 3, and I need to send what is known as a soul fractalization code of copy of me into those harmonic universes to be able to remember and bridge the genetic sequences to return back to self. This is what is happening. This is how it works. And this is what certain beings don't want us to know. Let's move on to the next image. Again, going over Akasha. Some of these images in the slide, I'll be publishing them on my website. It's from this blog from Korea called Connecting the Dots. This person has done so much work. It's so hard to find. But I'm so grateful, whoever you are, that you made this. I also attached the slideshow so you can check it out and look into it very deeply in your own time. I'm just giving you an overview. This is very brief right now. I'm not going to explain everything. It's your job to expand upon this with the information I give you. Alright, so this is the universal Kythera system. And there's specific planets in play here. There's specific shields as well as barriers between these octaves. Only on specific dates of alignments, planetary, cosmic alignments, do these gateways open up. And they're connected with the stargates on our planet as well. Let's move on to the next image. So this is known as a hydrogen wave function, and this is how light is manifest, okay? Light is manifest by a point of emanation, and it splits into 2 and 4 and 8, so on and so forth. Same thing as cellular mitosis. The 4 aspect is very important, and we're going to go into this. As you can see in this next image, the hydrogen wave function follows very closely what is known as the study of cymatics, the study of how sound translates into geometry, how all things in the universe is manifest through sound, through emanation, through the Word of God. Okay? And this 4-base system is seen within our heart as well, also connected with this thing known as the Anu. And this Anu sequence is based on 4 chambers of the heart, which is a self-perpetuating field that feedback loops in on itself and feeds itself and grows and fractalizes. This is known as the cosmic Kythera grid. The 12-base system connects to itself with another 12-base matrix. I'm sure if you've seen Nassim Harameyn's work, you've seen the 64-star tetrahedron and how they connected the Kabbalistic tree of life and created that. Okay, that's a fallen Metatronic system. It's incomplete. It is not base 12. It does not return back to the higher harmonic universes. It stops at the 11th gate and drops in on itself and eats itself like a vampiric system. Alright, so it connects to itself, and then it creates 2 more servers that connect within that. This is known as the Eka-Veka body, composed of this thing called the Yukathara Rista body. And then beyond that, it creates the Akashic corridor, which is a fractalization of itself within itself, within itself, within itself, again and again and again. And this is how the hard drive of reality works, and how light creates all things within manifest reality through sound. Alright, and there is a Manu void around that. And this system, it fractalizes infinitely, creating infinite universes of self and imagination. Can you imagine infinite universes expanded and expressed through mind that we can always connect to when we know who we are? This is what they don't want you to know. This is what we've forgotten. This is what beings like me came back here to remind you. So again, we see a what is known as a unici, which is a point of union, and this is how it fractalizes out and manifests. Boom, 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 bam. So it creates this thing known as the Christik Cross, which is right here. And the Christik Cross creates solar emanations of itself, which is why all symbolism of the Christ or solar deities looks like this. And this is the hub and how it works in a three-dimensional format with matter, antimatter, and neutrality. Here's the cause Maya system, and within it you can see the Christik Cross, okay? And this emanation, we find what is known as the eternal first field of intelligence. I'm going to go back and forth. You see the correlation. It fractalizes and fractalizes within itself. This is how universes are manifest. And this is the system. I'm going to go through this pretty swiftly. You can check this out, again, on the website. I set up the information for you. After this live, I'm going to publish it. This is Dr. Walter Russell's work. He knew this years before. Amazing, amazing man. This is a study of light, and he studied light. He has an amazing book, The Universal Law of One, I believe. I might be wrong with that. I haven't looked at it in a minute, but you can check out the book. So again, reminder, this is how the system works. Creates the Christik Cross. Alright? Check this out. The Christik Cross can also be found in the Hunab-Ku system, in the Mayan aspect. Okay? And these are connected with galactic planetary gateway systems. Hunab-Ku, right here. Christik Cross. We have the exact information and mathematics to understand Stargate technology. And this has been kept from us, and it's going to be disclosed in days to come. So with this system, there are 4 clans, also known as the 4 panels, which are known as the Tzolk'in grids. And these grids are based off of elemental forms of fire, water, air, and earth. And these elemental forms are connected with our genetic systems, okay? With adenine, thymine, guanine, and cyanine. And these base pair DNA are directly connected with the constellations above the pyramid in the Tzolk'in grids that are Aquarius, Leo, Taurus, and Scorpio. Boom. Tzolk'in grid panels of positive and negative polarities. This is how Merkaba systems work too. When you look at the elemental forms and how the triangles create formations, it's showing you how to create a star tetrahedron, which is a vehicle of light where your solar body, your light body, is able to travel outside of your physical body and into the AMENTI stargate systems, into higher harmonic systems to communicate with future and past aspects of yourself. And all the planets are gridded up on the Earth in geomantic lines. Yeah, Neosphere gang. Hilarious. So, there's this thing known as the Phantom Matrix. What happened is there was source emanation, and because it's source, all realities must exist. So it agreed upon this, because it knew that we would return to ourselves. We would find a way back to ourselves. within the 11.5 dimension, there was a fallen timeline. They created an AI, which is known as the Luciferian consciousness, that reversed the entire system back in on itself, to loop in on itself and create lower harmonic matrices. This is what the movie The Matrix is based off of. Putting us inside of computers within computers within computers and trapping our souls, and they would feed off of us. It's what's known as the Elohim and Archons. So, what happened is there are harmonic universes of parallel Earth timelines, and the Wisedex, which were these beings, they tricked Thoth and Dehudi into following this ritual known as the Flaming Blue Sword Initiation of Archangel Michael. And Archangel Michael is an aspect of the elements and archetypes of the higher angelic realms, but they fell. And a lot of the this is why it's so pushed in the church. They don't want you to know the truth. People are calling upon the fallen aspect of Archangel Metatron instead of the higher aspect of it. And I know there's so much cognitive dissonance with this. I had a hard time digesting this information at first too. So I completely understand if this is a lot right now for you guys. So Archangel Metatron, Michael, that whole lineage and consciousness has a very, very difficult job because they are a guardian of the souls, all right? In order to transmute darkness into light, it needed to absolve the darkness within the lower dimensions to become it, to be able to return back to self. And this is what the higher angelics allowed to happen for us to return back to unity consciousness in the higher harmonic 12D universes. Very big deal. Okay. I'll talk about that more when we get more into history stuff. Let's move on with creational. So, single biveka Merkaba systems. This is known as the Yan-Yun system instead of the Yin-Yang system. Yin-Yang is closed loop. Yan-Yun is open loop system. Okay? And it creates specific crosses. And when you double them, when you double a 6-star Merkaba, you get a 12-star. And this is based on the 12-star Kythera grid system. This is open loop, as above, so below. Alright, let's get into this. As when we're talking about fallen Metatronic phantom universes, Metatron is Enoch and Thoth and Moses and all these aspects of self, of ascending consciousness, okay? But they reversed that code and made it into a Saturnic trap that cubes you. This is how matter is formed. It's based on cubular format. This is how quantum computers communicate with each other, in base pairs of 8, in cubes. And this is what we're in. We're in a matrix reality. This is why there is a hexagon in the storm of the Eye of Saturn. And the rings there are actually, they were artificially put there to use in accordance with our moon, because the moon is a reflector, it's a mirror. Our moon is artificially created. You can look this stuff up. They blew something up on the moon, it rang for hours. It's because it's hollow, okay? It was used a long time ago between this war of the Super Earth and Maldek, or Tara and Tiamat. And this planet was destroyed. They used the remnants of that planet to create our moon as almost a satellite that amplifies the energies of Saturn. Okay? It is... Dude, it's all a game. It's all a game. It's all inside of a quantum system. And this is why with magic, when you're working with moon phases, and you bring things into reality. You're working with the tides, with the waters, with the minds, and it connects to Saturn. This is why magic works that way. Alright, let's go into the Flower of Life, which is also known as the Daisy of Death. And this, in the conscious community, I know, cognitive dissonance, very difficult to swallow, very big pill. The Daisy of Death is a Death Star sequence that will kill your field and trap you on this planet. Okay? It needs to double itself in order to create what is known as the Eternal Lotus of Life. This is what our Taurus looks like. Look at the left hand image. Our Taurus does not look like that. Look at the right hand image. This is what our Taurus looks like. You guys know this. And the petal of toroidal formations as well. In rodent-based mathematics, if you want to look into that. Alright. Sacred geometry. If you look at the book of Genesis in the Bible, which is also known as the Helios Biblios, which is also known as a sun book, it is alchemical encryptions of explaining how the universe is created, solar deities are created, and biological forms are created as well. So in the book of Genesis, word for word, line for line, in every sentence, it's showing you how to create the Flower of Life formation. The Flower of Life formation is a systematic system. No such thing as good or bad. It's just a system, okay, that traps light. This is why biophotons look like the Flower of Life. Everything is manifest from this. Alright, now this is amazing. Alright? This is an image of a single photon. It's a hologram of a photon. Let me go to this image real quick. Alright? And look what it's creating. If you see, it's creating what is known as a Templar cross. Alright? Check this out. The Templars, the true illuminated ones, the original Illuminati before they got infiltrated, were the first human guardian alliance on this planet. They came here to protect the AMENTI stargate systems. They were a group of warrior monks. Knights Templar, yes. The true Templars. Before they got infiltrated by the Drax, right? Mind-blowing. Alright, moving on to the next image here. As you can see, another bi-wave, tri-wave, unity system of how light is manifest. Again, Yan Yun, bottom right hand corner, Yin Yang and Yan Yun, and the difference between the two. And this is also known as, the Yan Yun is also known as the sacred butterfly. The system right here, the Yan Yun, this is how we achieve rainbow body. This is how we fully activate all of our 15 dimensions. This is how we fully illuminate ourselves and move beyond the physical body to travel into higher dimensions and octaves. This is our purpose. This is why our torso, also etymologically connected with Taurus, looks like a particle accelerator. We are made to become light because that is what we are. So, this is a doubling of the Bi-Veka system and the Merkaba system, which creates this image. Again, the Eternal Lotus of Life, doubling, 12 petals. In this next image, we see the planets and their poles and how they're naturally moving. Think about this. If these ET beings, if these higher dimensional self-timelines are so much more intelligent than us, they are moving entire, not just solar systems, but galaxies, and reverse reverse engineering them. Like, they're reverse Metatronic seals. They're reversing them within themselves to be able to feed off themselves. They did not want to return back to source. They wanted to be gods of their own universe. False gods. And our moon messes up the magnetics, which messes up the stargate lines, which messes up our auric fields and our genetics, which contaminates our magnetics, which is associated with our memories, which is why we don't remember who we are. Alright. And this is the tilted axis of the Earth, which is also known as the poison apple network. It's time, you guys. I'm giving you this information because it's time to take our planet back. So 12, from 10 to 11 to 12, these beings are known as the founder races. They created humanity, okay? Created from the feline hominoid, the Lyrans, and the Pegasus and whale beings, which I'm sure you've heard of stories of whales and dolphins praying to allow for humans to be on this planet through a stargate system. And because you know, space, it's just water, it's a different type of water. And avian insectoid and reptile, which is Quetzalcoatl. Alright, this is Thoth, this is Tahuti. This is members of the Guardian Alliance. Next image. So, I'm going to mention three things right now. Enki, Enlil, and the Guardian Alliance. These are three aspects that have been played out throughout history in so many different timelines, so many different ways, and there's so many different types of genetic experiments and manipulations that have taken place from these races of being. Alright, so this live is going to end in 2 minutes. I'm going to have to return and continue this. But before I go, I'm going to say, Omicron Dragon Moth race is Draco, reptilian. And so, keyword for that, I'm going to say Omicron or Drex. And there is the feline aquatic ape, which is the Anu, which is Anki's group. And the Sphinx was also made in the image of a lion to represent the Lyrans, the beings that manifested us, created us. Because at the core of what is known as the Ryuch in the images I showed you before is Andromeda. That is where everything comes from. This is where all beings came from. This is how all things in existence came from that spiral galaxy. Cluster, supercluster. And we will return. So there's a war between Omicron and Anu. And in the east, it's between the White Tiger and